"What do you mean by not giving him up?" said the princess. "My remaining here is not of my choice. If you have been husband and wife for 13 years, said Pilgrim, you can't be holy without affection. But when I see him, I won't be fooling around. A stroke of the rod will be a stroke, and a punch will be a punch. I have to slay him before I can take you back to court to see the throne." The princess indeed followed Pilgrim's advice and went off to a secluded spot. Her marriage to the monster, moreover, was fated to end, and that was why the great sage made his appearance. After he had the princess hidden, the Monkey King shook his body once and changed into the form of the princess to enter the cave and wait for the monster. We tell you now about 8 Rules and Sha Monk, who took the 2 boys to the precious image kingdom and dashed them to the ground before the white jade steps. Alas! They were reduced to 2 meat patties. Their bones were all crushed and blood splattered all over. "Terrible! Terrible!" cried the officials in court. "2 persons have been thrown down from the sky. These boys," shouted 8 Rules from above, "are the sons of the monster, Yellow Robe. They were caught by Old Hog and Brother Sha." Still under the effect of wine, the fiend was sleeping in the Silver Peace Palace when he heard someone shouting his name. He turned over and looked up. There were Ju 8 Rules and Sha Monk standing on the edge of the clouds hollering. The monster thought to himself, "If it were just Ju 8 Rules, I could understand this, but Sha Monk was tied up in my house. How could he get here? Why would my wife let him go? How could my boys land in their hands? Could it be that Ju 8 Rules, fearful of my unwillingness to do battle with him, is using this to trick me? I can take the bait and go fight with him. Hey! I'm still hungover. If he gives me a whack with his rake, I'll lose all my credibility. Let me go home first and see if they are indeed my sons or not. Then I can speak to these monks." Dear monster. Without taking leave of the king, he headed straight for his cave in the mountain forest to investigate. At this time, people in the court knew full well that he was indeed a monster. For, you see, he ate one of the palace maids during the night, but the 17 others who escaped made a thorough report to the king after the hour of the 5th watch. Since he left so abruptly, they knew all the more that he was without doubt a monster. All the king could do was to order the many officials to guard the specious tiger, and we shall speak no more of them for the moment. We now tell you about the fiend, who went back to the cave. When Pilgrim saw him arriving, he at once devised a plan of deception. He blinked a few times and tears began to fall like rain. Stamping his feet, pounding his chest, and calling for the boys all the time, he bawled lustily in the cave. So sudden an encounter made it impossible for the fiend to recognize that this was not his wife. He went forward instead and embraced Pilgrim, saying, "Mistress, why are you so upset?" With artful invention, with imaginative fable, the great sage said tearfully, "Dear husband, as the proverb says, if a man has no wife, his wealth has no boss. If a girl has no mate, she's completely lost. After you went into court yesterday to present yourself to the kinfolks, why didn't you return? This morning, Ju 8 Rules came back and robbed us of Sha Monk. Furthermore, they took away our 2 boys by force despite my desperate pleadings. They said that they would also bring the boys into court to present them to their maternal grandfather. Half a day has gone by already and there's no sight of our boys or even news of whether they are alive or dead. And you didn't turn up until just now. How could I part with my babies? That's why I'm so broken up." When the fiend heard those words, he grew very angry, saying, "Did that really happen to my sons?" "Yes," said Pilgrim. "And they were taken away by Ju 8 Rules." The demon was so incensed that he jumped about madly, crying, "Undone! Undone! My sons have been dashed to death by him. They can't be revived. The only thing left is to catch that monk and make him pay with his life. Mistress, don't cry. How do you feel now? Let's take care of you first." "I'm all right," said Pilgrim. But I miss my babies so much, and all that weeping has caused my heart to ache. No need to worry, said the demon. Get up first. I have a treasure here. All you need to do is to rub it on the painful spot, and it will not hurt anymore. But you must be careful not to fill up your thumb onto the treasure, for if you do, my true form will reveal itself. When Pilgrim heard this, he said, smiling, to himself, "This brazen creature. He's quite honest. Even without torture, he has made a confession already. Wait till he brings out his treasure. I'm going to strike at it with my thumb and see what kind of monster he is." Leading Pilgrim, the fiend took his companion into the murky depth of the cave before spitting out from his mouth a treasure having the size and shape of a chicken egg. It was an internal elixir, formed crystalline white like a sarira. Secretly delighted, Pilgrim said to himself, "Marvelous thing. God knows how many sedentary exercises had been performed, how many years of trials and sufferings had elapsed, how many times the union of male and female forces had taken place before this sarira of internal elixir was formed. What great affinity it has today that it should encounter Old Monkey." The monkey took it over. Of course, he did not have any pain, but he rubbed it deliberately on his body somewhere before flipping his thumb at it. Alarmed, the fiend immediately stretched forth his hand to try to snatch it away. Think of it. This monkey is just too slick and shifty a character. He popped the treasure in his mouth and with one gulp swallowed it whole. The demon raised his fist and punched at him, only to be parried by the arm of Pilgrim. With his other hand, Pilgrim wiped his own face once and changed back to his original appearance, crying, "Monster, don't be unruly. Take a look. Who am I?" When the fiend saw what he saw, he was greatly shaken, saying, "Gosh, mistress. How did you manage to bring out a face like that? You impudent imp," chided Pilgrim. "Who's your mistress? You can't even recognize your own ancestor." Suddenly comprehending, the fiend said, "I think I know you." Pilgrim said, "I won't hit you just yet, take another look." The fiend said, "Though you do look familiar, I just can't think of your name at the moment. Who indeed are you? Where do you come from? Where have you moved my wife? How dare you come to my house to cheat me of my treasure? This is most reprehensible. So you don't recognize me?" Said Pilgrim, "I am the eldest disciple of the Tang monk, and my name is Pilgrim Sung Wukong. I'm also your old ancestor of 500 years ago." The fiend said, "No such thing. No such thing. When I caught the Tang monk, I found out that he had only 2 disciples named Zhu 8 Rules and Sha Monk. No one had ever mentioned that there was someone by the name of Sun. You must be a fiend from somewhere who came here to deceive me. The reason why I didn't accompany the 2 of them," said Pilgrim, "was because my habitual slaying of monsters had offended my master. A kind and compassionate person, he dismissed me when I slaughtered one too many. That's why I was not traveling with him. Are you still ignorant of your ancestor's name? How feckless you are," said the fiend. "If you were banished by your master, how could you have the gumption to face people here?" Pilgrim said, "You impudent creature. You wouldn't know about the sentiment of once a teacher, always a father, nor would you know that, between father and son, there's no overnight enmity. If you plan to harm my master, you think I wouldn't come to rescue him. And you didn't stop at that. You even abused me behind my back. What have you got to say to that? Since when did I abuse you?" asked the fiend. Pilgrim replied, "Zhu 8 Rules said you did." "Don't believe him," said the fiend. "That Zhu 8 Rules, with his pointed snout, has a tongue like an old maid's. Why do you listen to him? No need for such idle talk," said Pilgrim. "I'll just say that during Old Monkey's visit to your house today, you have not shown your distant guest sufficient hospitality. Though you may not have food and wine to entertain your visitor, you have a head. Stick it over here quickly and let Old Monkey beat it once with the rod. I'll consider that my taking tea." When the fiend heard this, he roared with laughter, saying, "Pilgrim son, you've miscalculated. If you wanted to fight, you shouldn't have followed me here. The various imps under my command, young and old, number in the hundreds. Though you may have arms all over your body, you won't be able to fight your way out." Pilgrim said, "Don't talk rot. And don't mention a few hundreds. Even if you have hundreds of thousands, just call them up one by one, and I'll slay them. Every stroke of my rod will find its mark. I guarantee that they will be wiped out, exterminated." When the monster heard these words, he quickly gave the order and called up all the monsters before and behind the mountain, all the fiends in and out of the cave. Each holding weapons, they lined up thickly and completely barricaded the several doors inside the cave. When Pilgrim saw this, he was delighted. Gripping his rod with both hands, he shouted, "Change!" and changed at once into a person having 3 heads and 6 arms. One wave of the golden hooped rod and it changed into 3 golden hooped rods. Look at him. 6 arms wielding the 3 rods, he plunged into the crowd like a tiger mauling a herd of sheep, like an eagle alighting on chicken coops. Pity those little fiends. One touch and heads were smashed to pieces. One brush and blood flowed like water. He charged back and forth, as if he had invaded an uninhabited region. When he finished, there was only one old monster left, who chased him out the door, crying,